searching for themes that were related to Oklahoma that seemed to kind of flow with the nature of one, you know, it being a parking garage and the wall being up off the ground, two, surrounded by all these trees, and then not trying to find something that I felt was being a little bit too literally iconic for Oklahoma. Like there was still room to kind of play and stylize with the idea of a scissor tail. And I'm typically attracted to things that have long flowing sort of forms to them, and well, boom, there you go. There's a scissor tail. It has really long lines in it, and looking at the nature of how it's a very long sort of panoramic wall, it seemed like a nice sort of shapes to kind of play with, to accentuate the length of the space in which I would be working with on the wall. And then it turned out that there's trees all around it that are at some point of the year are going to have birds in it for a lot of the time. Step one is photos of the wall. You know, we had a meeting where we all came down here and we all walked around, did a site walkthrough and snapped photos of different angles of the garage. Worked on a concept, different kind of ideas of things that I think would work well with the project. And then researched, you know, images that I could use, that I could kind of abstract out. And then, you know, I use all my skill sets when I do this kind of stuff. So I use my design background to just go in and do computer work to kind of mock everything up, create the actual, the image base work kind of mixed with the design compositional part elements to the mural. And then, you know, go through the process of working with you all to get everything else in order, and then come down here, hire my assistant. I brought my friend Shane from LA out here to assist me on the project, and then we pretty much had to prime a lot of the wall in these general shapes, kind of just based off the mock-up that we thought, that we would think would line up with what we would later project. And then once that is all laid down, then come back and project in sections the design across and kind of line it and mock it up so we know where all the components and elements are. Then once that's all been up on the wall, it's been going back through and just kind of plugging through the design. It can become almost like a color by numbers sort of situation, but then as a base, and then you add details on top of it to make it the finished original piece of artwork. Working up off the ground is definitely a different experience than working on the ground and working in the studio. Because if I'm working in the studio, I have the ability to step away from something and, you know, I'm gonna go get coffee, or, you know, I'm gonna just take a break. Your time is a lot more efficient when you're up on a lift because, you know, you only have them for a certain amount of time. You can't just step back away, so you kind of have to stay focused in your little zone. Normally when I work on a wall on the ground, it's not quite as structured. Like this is something that needed to be structured and projected and kind of mapped out so that we're, like I said, being efficient with the time and the constraints of the project, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas if you're working on something on the ground, if I'm just doing a wall for fun, it's kind of a lot more open-ended and an organic experience, where this is more of a, I'm plugging away. I think public art is really very important. It brings culture and vitality to urban environments. You know, it lets people know that there's you know, there's life going on there, and it's important for me that it inspires a younger generation of people to see that people like myself, like they too, if they want to pursue a creative lifestyle, that it is doable.